It is the last week of summer, so we are taking one last kind of little small trip adventure, just day out to spend in nature and with each other. So just before the craziness of school starts. Oh, come on. Literally every time. Tamron Nature Center. It's only 5 miles away. Here we go.
Head east on County Road F west toward Wilshire Circle.
Wow, it's a beautiful day out, and I feel just so blessed to have been able to
Look at this
go out and do things in the summer like this.
Hop, little buddy, hop. Hop. Not on me, please. Boing.
Uh-oh. We wanted to go there. But we're here. We're trying to catch a turtle on Turtle Trail, but Turtle Trail is directly in front of us, and we can't really cross the lake thing, so.
Should we go to the Acorn Trail?
Sure. Do we have to go back then?
Yeah.
Turtle Trail, straight ahead.
Okay. I don't see any turtles.
No turtles?
No.
What the heck?
Ooh, spiky.
Is it sharp?
Yeah.
Like, does it hurt?
No. But it wouldn't be.
Oh, it's soft, honey.
This is soft, but look at the Ow! Look at the leaves. And look at this. Look at the spines on the side. But it's very pretty.
It's a little bit anticlimactic. I don't know if there are any turtles here. It's a turtle. It's a turtle. He's tiny.
I see him.
I want him so bad. It's a turtle. What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. I apologize for the kind of gloomy weather. It's a little bit rough outside right now, but I just wanted to dive into a quick topic of what two lenses you guys should get, or at least the first two lenses you guys should get for your Sony Alpha series full frame cameras, but more specifically the A7S III that is to be released in September. Now, the lens that I'm shooting on right now, I actually did just receive it in the mail yesterday, and I'm so ecstatic about it. I've heard fantastic things about this lens. I've done a lot of research about it, and there was a decision-making process that I had to really commit to in choosing to buy this lens. But I just want to say that first off, I'm not really a huge prime lens guy. Personal preference, you know, if you guys enjoy using primes over zoom lenses, that's totally fine. I can certainly acknowledge the pros and the cons, the benefits that primes do have over zoom lenses. Personally, I don't think that sharpness is an advantage that primes have anymore over zooms. I think zooms made by like 99% of lens manufacturing companies are just incredibly sharp, especially when you pair them up against prime lenses. So beyond that, I think there are some certain advantages. But for me, the convenience of a zoom, what you get for what you pay, that is a huge aspect in my opinion, especially as a college student. I am kind of budget conscious, so that has to be a big factor in what goes into my lens buying process. So yeah, I could talk about zooms versus primes all day, but I just wanted to start with that, preface with the two lenses that I'm going to be talking about today are zooms, and I do own both of them. So first off, we might as well talk about the lens that I'm shooting on right now, and that is the Sony A7SIII, I'm going to read it, Vario Tessar FE, actually that's way too long, that's really long. It's the Sony 16-35 f4 lens. Now before I even started with photography and videography, I made parkour videos, and I use an action camera, like a GoPro, a super cheap one, and my grandpa owned a camera. And it was a compact camera. It was just a single lens, non-interchangeable camera, but it had a Zeiss lens on it. And I was really fascinated by that. My mom talked about Zeiss and how it was just the best lens manufacturer pretty much, in her opinion, because she was a photographer a while ago. And so in my head, I had this kind of fascination with Zeiss lenses and Zeiss glass. And within the Zeiss brand, within their lenses, there's a lot of history. Just something to be said for when you choose to shoot on a Zeiss lens. Whether that's for vanity's sake or not, or if it's practical, I don't know. I'm really excited to put this lens through its paces and to test it out even more. But I was able to pick this lens up for only $689. That was before tax. Really phenomenal price. Usually you can find it brand new for around $1,200, and so I picked it up for a little bit more than half of that price. I'm sorry guys, I just realized I'm incredibly overexposed. But yeah, when I was choosing to buy this lens, my main decision point was whether to get this one or whether to pick up the Tamron 17 to 28 f2.8 lens. And that one would pair very perfectly with the next lens I'm going to talk about. But for me, there were some things that just really made the Zeiss Sony lens stand out to me as opposed to the Tamron. And so let's talk about those things. So first off, price point was pretty negligible. Brand new, the Tamron cost about a little bit more than what I picked up the Sony for, but if I were to grab it used, the price would have been about the same. But within price, you have to really consider what you're getting for that price, what you're getting for the money that you're paying. And with the Zeiss lens, obviously it's an f4, and with the Tamron, it's an f2.8. So you are getting an extra stop of light, which will improve your low light shooting abilities and getting out of focus elements in the background, shallower depth of field. However, for me, when I look at a super wide angle lens, like a 16 to 35 or a 70 to 28, I've never owned one before, so this is my very first super wide lens. I'm really excited about it actually. I'm loving the images I'm getting. Depth of field and bokeh, tone, those things aren't really a factor that I really care about with a 16 to 35 with a super wide, because mainly the purpose of a wide angle lens is to show more things in your frame. That was said really unintelligibly. The purpose of a super wide angle lens is so that you can get a super wide field of view. And in doing so, you're gonna be able to see much more in the frame and in focus than you would with like a standard zoom 24 to 70 or even a 70 to 200. And so following that same logic, if you're shooting a super wide at f2.8, you will be able to see more things, but having a shallow depth of field is semi-counterintuitive unless you want to be really intentional about the shot you're getting. And I mean, to be fair, yes, you can stop down your 2.8 lens to f4 or whatever aperture you want and get whatever image you want. So it does give you more control over what kind of image, what you're seeing in the frame and what is in focus and not. But in my opinion, the benefit of optical steady shot, which is in the Zeiss lens, not in the Tamron lens, no stabilization in that lens, the benefit outweighed being able to have a 2.8 aperture for me. Talking about, you know, lens quality, sharpness, the Tamron 17 to 28, if you stop it down to f4, it is sharper than the Zeiss lens, but in my opinion, I honestly don't care about sharpness. I'm a video guy, and I think super sharp lenses paired with super high resolution video like 4K gives it a really rough and video look as opposed to having a smoother, softer, cinematic appearance to your images. So I don't care about sharpness really. But in terms of build quality, this is an interesting topic. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna go inside, it's starting to get windy. You know, I never thought that I would actually get excited about having new lights, but I'm actually pretty excited. I got the Pavo tube on my left, and the aperture MC is the red guy in the right corner. So I'm really excited about those lights. They're kind of cool. Just spice things up and something that can really help shape the stories I'm trying to tell and the work that I'm doing. Okay, sorry, off topic. So yeah, this lens, the f4 16 to 35, why do I even recommend it? Well, I would say that for a lot of purposes, having an ultra wide zoom lens is quite convenient and helpful. For my style, I've noticed that I've started to favor a more telephoto look, but this lens helps me to break away from that and get more dynamic shots and a variety. Having that in your work really helps to advance the story and prevent your images and your visuals from getting bland and boring as the viewer watches. So if anything, having an ultra wide is helpful just to spice things up and to change the pace of your video and to just show more that's going on in the scene, whether you're trying to reveal a grand venue. You want to give a room just a big feeling for real estate photography or video. Or if you enjoy vlogging, you can definitely use this lens to vlog on. I'm really impressed by the overall build quality of it. Oh wait, that's what I was talking about actually. So yes, in terms of build quality, this is kind of interesting because at first glance, this lens is really well built, and it is. So it's not like a trick question. It's well built. It's pretty much all metal. Like all of it is metal. Even the zoom ring and the focus ring. And it's weird. The focus ring, when you focus it, it doesn't do anything, and that's because it's electronically linked focus by wire to the camera. So when you move the ring, the camera basically tells the lens to change the focus, and it's pretty quick and responsive, surprisingly. Anywho, I thought that was kind of cool. Well, with the build quality of it, yeah, it's super rock solid. Has some good weight to it. It's smaller than I expected it to be honest, especially coming from Canon and being an EF glass shooter, and even RF, those lenses are massive. So yeah, it's much smaller than I thought it would be, but the one downside is that it does not have any weather sealing on it. So there's no gasket preventing water, raindrops, moisture, dust, dirt from getting into the sensor. So just be aware of that. I was kind of disappointed with that because Zeiss, when they put weather sealing on their Sony lenses, it's really pretty. It's like a blue gasket ring, and I don't know, I think the blue Zeiss logo is really beautiful, so that's kind of a bummer. Also for practical reasons, of course. And the Tamron does have weather sealing, I believe. I know that 28-75 that we're shooting on right now, that has weather sealing, even though it's kind of built like crap in a way. So it's an interesting con that this lens has when you're looking at the cheaper Tamron to 17-28. But yes, for my purposes, I'm glad that I picked this lens up as opposed to the 17-28, especially shooting on the Sony A7 III and moving to the A7S III hopefully in the future. Being able to pump my ISO to a relatively high number while having noise-free images isn't going to be a problem. I'm going to zoom out just a tad. Oh, you can see my hair light in the back. Oh, it's a bummer. All right, forgive me guys. I'm kind of trying to work out the kinks of not having a flip-out screen and getting these new lights and everything. So having the optical steady shot in this lens is kind of a game changer for handheld shooting and run and gun video. So that really comes in handy. All right, we're gonna move on to the next lens. All right, now we're back on the Zeiss, shooting at f4. It should be around the same focal range because I think I was at 35 with the Tamron. And we're in S-Log2. Sorry, I didn't say that before. I've never shot S-Log2 before, so we're trying that guy out. Mostly I've veered towards HLG3, and then I tried out S-Log3, but with the A7 III, the dynamic range that you get isn't worth having the color hassle that you have to deal with in post, because your image kind of starts to fall apart and things just, it defeats the purpose of having a really flat profile. So the second lens that I recommend you guys pick up for your kit, well, actually this would be the first lens that I recommend you pick up. This was my first lens for the Sony system that I bought, and it is the Tamron 28-75, it's so weird, f2.8 full frame lens, and it is a constant aperture, and it is a weird lens because of that focal length that it has, but in cutting 4mm off the wide end and adding 5mm on the long end, Tamron was able to make this more compact, lightweight, and just overall smaller than what Sony, Nikon, especially Nikon, and even Canon has done with their lenses. So this is the lightest 24-70 2.8 zoom lens that has ever been made, even though it's not a 24-70. I think having the 28mm also really plays into why I bought the 16-35. It gives me more of a reason to buy an ultra wide, whereas if you have a 24, you can kind of get away with not having an ultra wide lens. And honestly, I find it enjoyable, and I think there's some fun in using an ultra wide lens. Saving money on this lens enabled me to purchase the 16-35, and now I've got a really great pairing that I've just enjoyed using. It's a blast. Things that I like about this lens, like I talked about previously, this one does have a weather sealing gasket, so dust, dirt, water, splashes, snow, ice, well, ice won't get in there. It's weather sealed, and that's good to hear because my A7 III is weather sealed as well. It just makes sense. If you have a weather sealed camera, why not just buy a weather sealed lens? But my shooting needs don't necessitate me going into really harsh weather conditions really ever, so that has been a huge benefit. Although the more I get into shooting weddings, I might encounter some rainy days, and some stuff like that. So with the overall footprint of this lens being small, that also carries over to the front element and the lens filter size. It's only 67mm, which is tiny for what you would expect on a 24-70-ish zoom lens. And that is helpful. I did have to buy some new filters just so I wouldn't have to deal with the pain of using step-up rings, so that kind of gets annoying. And I think if you're looking for a lightweight run and gun lens that you can do pretty much everything decently on, this is really your answer. I was able to shoot so much. This is a great gimbal lens. If you just balance the gimbal with the lens half zoomed out, you can go all the way to 75 and all the way down to 28 without taxing your gimbal's battery by compensating for the extra addition as much. And I do think that this wide of a range, this standard zoom range on a gimbal, really allows you to just run a gun, shoot anything you would need in most circumstances without having to switch lenses. So that is a time saver and has been really convenient for me because I've done a lot of shoots where I've only used this lens on a gimbal or on a tripod, and it really just works to get so many different kinds of angles without even having to move, which makes me sound lazy, but trust me, I am. A couple things I don't like about this lens, just the build quality of it. I mean, at least it is weather sealed, yeah, but the focus ring feels pretty chintzy. It's kind of a cheap rubber. It's not even rubber, what? It's like plastic. I don't even know. The texture and grip of it doesn't feel that great. And the zoom ring feels okay. It feels fine. But the lens, the more you zoom it, the less stiff it gets. So you can get lens creep on it. So if like, I can't shake mine out, but I know some people after using theirs, because I've only had this for like a month, not even that. And I bought it used, but I know some people, they get to the point where if they just shake their lens downwards, then it creeps all the way out to 75 from 28 millimeters. And it can do it vice versa if you have it the opposite way. So I don't like that as much. I like to know that the focal length that I set it to is where it's going to stay unless I want to change that. So that's where the Zeiss comes in. It's really solidly built. Once you set your focal length, it's not going anywhere unless you just twist it back or push really hard on the front lens element. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think these two lenses are enough to cover you? I'm curious. Maybe you have some settings where you do need kind of that 70 to 200 focal length if you're shooting subjects that are just more far away, or if you want that lens compression to really blow out the background so that you can't see as much. I certainly think there are some huge benefits to picking up these two lenses as your first lenses in your Sony kit. Let me know. I think for the price, for the quality, and for the convenience of everything that you're getting, what you're paying for, these lenses are kind of unmatched. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, ring ding the bell if you want to get my notifications, and subscribe to my channel for videos on camera gear and on shooting techniques, other stuff that's camera related, for weekly uploads on Mondays. I'm gonna hold myself to it. I know I've said that so many times. Thanks guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.